What is the truth behind the Nepal protests? Did aliens save Nepal from a coup? Never knew. A protest on Earth would get aliens' attention. Kathmandu's Durbar Square pulsed with unrest. Protests swelled, 50,000 voices clashing against ancient stone temples carved with stoic deities. Prime Minister Saria Mandal stepped onto the podium, her sharp features framed by raven hair pinned tightly, her crimson sari catching floodlights. In her 40s, she carried the weight of diplomacy in her steady gaze. Her voice cut through the chants, resolute. We stand united. Foreign shadows will not break our energy grid, our nation's lifeblood. Stability is our strength. The crowd roared, fists rising, but whispers of sabotage snaked through the throng. Rumors of tampered power lines buried deep in the mountains. Saria signaled her aides, tightening security cordons. Officers gripped batons, ready to move. Across the city, in Kathmandu University's cluttered lab, Amit Sharma hunched over glowing consoles. The air carried ozone and stale chai. A wiry energy researcher in his 30s with stubble and slipping glasses, Amit traced anomalous spikes from Himalayan ley lines, geothermal veins fueling Nepal's reserves. His screens flickered, revealing encrypted signals too precise for human tech. Impossible, he muttered, isolating a fragment. The code's symmetry screamed extraterrestrial. Saria's motorcade carved through bustling streets toward Naryanhedi Palace, its white walls a relic of royal past, now housing government nerve centers. In the briefing room, holographic maps spun over teak tables. Intelligence officers stood rigid, presenting a tablet. Election date has been altered, ma'am, the lead said. External access, untraceable. Her re-election teetered. She nodded sharply. Riot squads, sonic disruptors only. No blood. Orders flew. Near the palace, protesters hurled crates. Police advanced, visors down, unleashing infrasonic pulses that scattered the crowd without harm. From a balcony, Saria watched, wind tugging her sari, her grip tight on the rail. Beneath Patan's temples, in a damp bunker of arched brick and faint incense, Tara Rathi rallied her resistance cell. Late 20s, sun-browned, with cropped hair and patched fatigues, she moved with unyielding purpose. A social activist turned peacekeeper, she distributed encrypted comms devices. Link safe houses, infiltrators are close, she said, voice low. Her team, lean and alert, nodded. A scout pocketed his device. Targets? Unusual tech, odd patterns. Report fast. Tara's resolve burned steadily, forged in street battles. They vanished into tunnels, footsteps fading. 200 kilometers above the Karakoram range, Eric's cloaked dreadnought hung, a black alloy beast. On the bridge, the scaled commander, eyes like molten gold, studied tactical feeds. Nepal's energy routes were his prize. Launch swarms, he growled. Drones plummeted, hacking city holograms. Durbar Square's displays warped, broadcasting divisive lies. Elites hoard power. Chaos flared, neighbor turning on neighbor. Saria stormed into Singha Durbar's marble halls, the administrative heart of Nepal. In the cabinet chamber, holograms mapped riots and grid failures. A general pounded the table. Martial law now. No, Saria countered, taking her seat. It invites collapse. Authorize Amit scans for alien signatures. Arguments erupted, voices like shrapnel. She parried, diplomatic steel in her words. One aide's shifty glances caught her eye, suspicion coiling. Amit dug deeper in his lab, fractal code unfolding on his screens. Quantum entanglement beyond Earth's grasp. He patched a secure line to Saria, her face appearing etched with strain. Prime Minister, it's not ours. Alien tech, confirmed. Shadows stretched over Kathmandu's twinkling lights. In Tamel's neon-lit alleys, Tara's scouts moved, blending with thinning crowds. Ambush struck, Eric's agents, cloaked in hollow veils, lunged from shadows. A scout lobbed an EMP grenade, its blue burst frying implants. Agents collapsed, one dragged into an alcove. "Extract now," the scout hissed into comms. Tara's voice crackled. "Everything they know." In a dim, safe room, neural probes hummed, pulling data, coordinates, Eric's name. Resistance channels buzzed with the intel. Eric's watched the skirmish on his bridge, sneering. Primitives. He dialed shields to 95% opacity, landers prepping for Annapurna. Soraya slipped from the cabinet, halls emptying. She brushed past the suspect aide, planting a nanoscale tracker in his device. Her wrist pad pulsed, confirming betrayal. Night deepened. An eerie aurora, green and violet, danced over Everest, unnatural and sharp. Saria gazed from her palace window, gardens silent below. Ahmed archived his data, and the lab was quiet. The city pulsed, unaware of the hunger above. Tara emerged in Patan, temples glowing under moonlight. Her comm vibrated, new intel. The fight tightened. Eric's lander stirred, engines humming. Descent loomed. Soraya donned tactical gear, issuing encrypted calls. The aurora flared, a veil parting. Something descended. The Himalayan night pulsed with an unnatural aurora, its eerie glow casting jagged shadows across Kathmandu's restless streets. The city's heartbeat quickened, each pulse laced with the threat of unseen forces, tightening their grip. Saria Mandal descended into the subterranean war room beneath Tribhuvan International Airport, where concrete walls absorbed the hum of encrypted servers. Holographic displays bathed the chamber in cold light, mapping Nepal's border ridges in stark relief. Generals clustered around the central table, their uniforms taut as they debated deploying anti-air laser arrays to fortify the frontiers. Saria, her sari replaced with a tactical vest, studied the projections, her sharp features unyielding. She traced a ridgeline on the map, her finger pausing over vulnerable passes. The decision carried weight. Lasers could deter aerial incursions, but risk escalating tensions with India. She authorized limited deployments, prioritizing precision over provocation, her mind already racing toward the next move. In his university lab, Amit Sharma wrestled with the fractal code unearthed from the ley line spikes. His screens glowed with intricate patterns, revealing blueprints for a neural manipulator array capable of bending 30 million minds across Nepal. Sweat beaded on his brow as he cobbled together a counter-jammer from scavenged satellite components, wiring them into a prototype powered by Himalayan quartz resonators. The device hummed faintly, its circuits vibrating with potential. He tested it, fingers trembling as he adjusted dials. Sparks erupted, the prototype shorting in a flare of ozone. Amit cursed softly, recalibrating with salvaged quartz to stabilize the signal, his focus unbroken despite the mounting pressure. Tara Rathi clung to the underside of a government convoy truck, rumbling through misty tea plantations near Pokhara, her grapple drone anchoring her to the chassis. The vehicle carried Eric's disguised agents, their hollow cloaks flickering under her scanner's scrutiny. She deployed a micro-EMP pulse, disabling the truck's navigation, and swung aboard, her boots silent on the cargo bed. Inside, she planted disruptor charges, their timers synced to detonate in sequence. The convoy swerved as alarms blared, sparking a high-speed chase through fog-choked fields. Tara leaped clear, rolling into a ditch as the truck erupted in a controlled blast, scattering agents into the night. Her comm buzzed with confirmations. Her cell had struck first, but the war was closing in. High above, Eric's escalated his gambit from his dreadnoughts bridge, his scaled hands manipulating controls with predatory precision. He activated Phase 1, beaming subliminal commands via ionospheric bounce to Nepal's border zones. The signals infiltrated comms, inciting clashes between Nepalese and Indian patrols along the contested Terai. Skirmishes flared, rifles flashing in the dark as manipulated orders pushed soldiers into chaos. Eric's leaned back, his golden eyes narrowing, testing Saria's diplomatic resolve while his landers prime for descent, their phase-shift shields humming at 80% capacity. Saria joined a tense video link with Indian counterparts, her screen projecting stern faces across a secure channel. She dispatched tactical negotiators, each armed with true serum injectors, to verify claims, their sleek jets cutting through dawn's haze toward Delhi. Her words remained measured, deflecting accusations while probing for compromise. Meanwhile, Amit's failed jammer test reached her via encrypted relay, forcing a pivot. She ordered his team to double efforts, redirecting satellite bandwidth to amplify his signal. The war room buzzed, technicians scrambling to align orbital assets as the aurora above pulsed brighter, a cosmic warning unheeded. In high orbit, Kalen maneuvered Yalora's Guardian frigate through a debris field, his cockpit a lattice of glowing vectors. The alien warrior, his lean frame clad in a metallic exosuit, detected Eric's dreadnoughts' warp signature, a faint ripple in the void. He relayed coordinates to Yalora, who stood on the frigate's bridge, her luminous eyes scanning tactical grids. She authorized a stealth probe launch, its cloaked form slipping toward Earth's atmosphere, a silver dart slicing through the dark. The probe's mission: infiltrate Nepal's airspace, gather intel, and signal readiness. Kalen adjusted his interceptors, engines thrumming, as Yalora outlined a diversionary asteroid deflection to mask their approach. Tara's resistance struck again in the Mustang Valley, where jagged cliffs framed a desolate drop zone. Her team ambushed an Eric's pod, its anti-grav thrusters glowing blue before her crossbows, tipped with conductive gel, grounded it in a shower of sparks. The pod crashed, metal crumpling against rock. Her fighters swarmed, securing the wreckage and extracting fragments of alien tech. Tara's scanner pinged, revealing a partial schematic of Eric's neural array, its vulnerabilities laid bare. She relayed the find to Amit via dead-drop data crystals, her movements swift under the valley's stark moonlight. Saria's tracker pinged, exposing her aide's betrayal. In the palace's shadowed corridors, she confronted him, her vibro knife flashing from a concealed sheath. The fight was brief, brutal. Her diplomatic poise gave way to precise strikes, disarming him as his calm clattered to the marble floor. She secured the device, its data confirming ties to Eric's network. Her paranoia hardened into resolve, each step now a calculated advance against an unseen enemy. Amit refined his jammer, integrating quartz resonators for stability. The device stabilized, its hum steady as he shared specs with Tara's network through encrypted drops hidden in Kathmandu's markets. His lab's monitors flickered, tracking the aurora's intensifying patterns, a celestial signal of impending descent. Yalora finalized her briefing, her frigate's bridge a hive of focused activity. The asteroid deflection commenced, a calculated nudge sending a rock cluster spinning to mask their entry. Eric's fleet edged closer, engines flaring at 80% thrust, their cloaks shimmering like oil slicks against the stars. The Guardians prepared for contact, their phase beams charging silently. Saria emerged from the war room, her tactical vest snug against her frame. She reviewed Amit's updates, her pad displaying the jammer's progress. The border clashes escalated and reports flooding in of misdirected artillery fire. She issued countermands, redirecting units to reinforce key passes, her decisions a delicate balance against collapse. The aide's betrayal lingered, a reminder of fragility within her ranks. Tara's team regrouped in a hidden safe house, analyzing the pod's wreckage. The schematic hinted at a central hub, a fusion core powering Eric's operations. She mapped its coordinates, her mind racing to exploit the weakness before the next wave landed. Amit tested the jammer again, its signal cutting through static with newfound clarity. He transmitted a burst to Soraya, confirming readiness. The lab's air grew heavy, the weight of discovery pressing against his chest. Kalen's probe breached the atmosphere, its micro-drones dispersing like seeds on the wind. They linked to Nepal's grid, feeding cryptic data to Soraya's command. The war room's holograms updated, revealing Eric's fleet positions in stark clarity. Eric adjusted his strategy, his bridge a fortress of glowing consoles. The swarms intensified, hacking deeper into urban systems, sowing discord. His landers locked onto Annapurna, their descent vectors tightening. Soraya stood at the war room's heart, her gaze fixed on the holographic map. The aurora pulsed above, a harbinger of invasion. She issued final orders, aligning defenses with Amit's jammer and Tara's intel. The nation braced, its pulse synchronized with her own. Night deepened. The stars seemed to lean closer, watching. The Himalayan dawn broke in fractured hues, the unnatural aurora fading into a sky bruised with the weight of impending conflict. Kathmandu stirred uneasily, its streets humming with tension as unseen threats descended from the heavens. Eric's landers pierced the mesosphere, their cloaked hulls shimmering briefly before vanishing against the jagged peaks of the Langtang Range. Infantry disembarked, their plasma lances slicing through Nepal's radar nets with surgical precision. The weapons glowed white-hot, carving arcs of ionized air as they advanced through alpine mists. Eric's monitored from his dreadnought, his scaled hands adjusting tactical feeds, each move calculated to exploit the chaos below. His forces spread like a virus, targeting ley line nodes buried deep in the mountains. Surya Mandal mobilized elite Gurkha commandos from a forward base in the Kathmandu Valley, their adaptive camouflage suits blending seamlessly with the fog-shrouded terrain. She directed their movements via augmented reality overlays, her commands streaming through secure headsets as she stood in the war room beneath Tribhuvan Airport. The holograms flickered, updating enemy positions in real time. The Gurkhas struck at dawn, ambushing an advanced squad in a narrow gorge. Kukras flashed, severing plasma conduits in enemy gear, while silenced rifles cracked, dropping cloaked figures in the mist. Saria's fingers tightened on her console, tracking each maneuver with unblinking focus. Amit Sharma operated from a mobile command unit in Chitwan's jungles, his refined jammer now mounted on a ruggedized trailer. The device thrummed, powered by Himalayan quartz, its signal disrupting Eric's neural manipulator array. Invading troops staggered under hallucinatory feedback, their lances firing wildly into trees as Amit fine-tuned the frequency. Sweat streaked his face, the humid air pressing against his makeshift outpost. The jammer bought critical minutes, but static crackled ominously, hinting at countermeasures brewing in orbit. Amit patched a status update to Surya, his voice steady despite the strain, urging her to prepare for escalation. Tara Rathi led a sabotage team up the Kali Gandaki Gorge, their boots crunching on loose shale as they navigated treacherous cliffs. Her scanner pinged, syncing with Amit's jammer to pinpoint an enemy landing zone. She planted seismic charges, their timers linked to the jammer's pulse, and signaled her team to retreat. The charges detonated, unleashing a cascade of 500-ton boulders that obliterated the site in a thunderous collapse. Dust billowed, choking the air as Tara's team vanished into the gorge's shadows, their crossbows still primed with conductive gel. She relayed coordinates to her network, each move tightening the noose around Eric's ground forces. A silver dart slipped through Nepal's airspace, undetected by terrestrial sensors. Yalora's stealth probe deployed microdrones, their nanoscale frames interfacing with Soraya's command grid. The drones whispered cryptic warnings of an imminent cataclysm, their data streams feeding holographic maps in the war room. Soraya studied the influx, her tactical vest snug as she cross-referenced the probe's intel with Amit's scans. The drone's precision unnerved her, hinting at an ally with motives yet unclear. She authorized limited integration, wary of dependency, her mind racing to balance trust against betrayal. Eric's countered with ruthless precision, his dreadnought unleashing orbital strikes. Antimatter bolts lanced downward, vaporizing a resistance outpost in the Annapurna foothills with pinpoint accuracy. The blast shockwave rattled Kathmandu, forcing Surya to order the evacuation of the city's core districts. Civilian convoys streamed out under drone cover, their engines roaring through smoke-choked streets. She coordinated from the war room, redirecting air defenses to shield the retreat while holograms updated with fresh strike patterns. Her fingers danced across controls, each command a thread holding the nation together. On Nagarkot Hill, Surya convened a strategy huddle under a tarp canopy, the valley sprawling below in dawn's gray light. Generals argued, their voices sharp with doubt, urging a full retreat. She silenced them, activating the Guardian probe's holographic map, its projection revealing Eric's fleet positions in stark clarity. The display shifted, showing landers converging on leyline hubs. Surya's authority solidified, her orders snapping into place like a rifle's bolt, directing Gurkhas to fortify key nodes. The generals fell in line, their reluctance buried under her resolve. Kalen piloted a Guardian interceptor through a debris field in low orbit, his exosuit's HUD tracking Eric's scout ships. The alien warrior weaved through asteroid fragments, his railgun volleys scarring the void with relativistic streaks. Enemy scouts returned fire, their plasma bursts grazing his hull, but Kalen's maneuvers outpaced their targeting algorithms. He relayed strike data to Yalora, who adjusted her frigate's approach, her phase beams charging for a deeper incursion. The dogfight intensified, each hit vibrating through Kalen's cockpit as he pushed the interceptor to its limits. Tara's team secured a captured invader in a Mustang safe house, the prisoner's scales glinting under dim lamps. Neural probes hummed, extracting coordinates of Eric's forward base, a fortified bunker powered by a central fusion core. The data confirmed a critical vulnerability, the core's overload potential, a ticking bomb. Tara relayed the intel to Amit via encrypted Krista. Her team was already prepping for a follow-up strike. She checked her rail rifle, its magnetic coils primed, and led her cell back into the night, their silhouettes fading against the cliffs. Amit raced against time in his Chitwan outpost, fabricating EMP warheads from scavenged alien tech. His hands moved with practiced speed, soldering circuits under flickering lights. The warheads, compact and lethal, were designed to cripple Eric's shields, exposing ground units to Gurkha assaults. He tested a prototype, its pulse frying a test drone in a satisfying crackle. Amit patched a confirmation to Surya, urging immediate deployment. The war room's response was swift, warheads approved, logistics mobilized. Meanwhile, Yalora's probe data sparked wary talks among Surya's inner circle, their voices low as they weighed the alien offer against the cost of trust. Eric's recalibrated his strategy, his bridge a fortress of glowing interfaces. He diverted a secondary wave of landers to reinforce the Langtang incursion, their cloaks flickering as they descended. His drones intensified urban hacks, sowing panic through hacked feeds in Kathmandu's markets. The city's pulse stuttered, its resilience tested by each calculated strike. Surya stood at the war room's heart, her holographic map pulsing with enemy movements. She issued rapid-fire orders, aligning Gurkha ambushes with Amit's EMP deployments. Tara's coordinates sharpened the focus, pinpointing the fusion core as the linchpin. The aurora faded, replaced by dawn's harsh clarity, but the sky felt heavier, pregnant with the weight of invasion. Amit sealed his warheads, their casings gleaming under the outpost lamps. He loaded them onto a transport drone, its engines whining as it lifted toward the front. Tara's team moved parallel, their rail rifles slung low, ready for the next breach. Kalen's interceptor banked hard, evading a plasma volley, his sensors locked on Eric's scouts. The war tightened its grip. Nepal's defenders braced, their resolve a blade honed against the stars. The Himalayan sky burned with dawn's fire, its peaks casting long shadows over a nation locked in silent war. Kathmandu's streets hummed with controlled evacuations, while the mountains hid battles that would shape the world's fate. Surya Mandal integrated Yalora's microdrones into Nepal's defense grid, their quantum sensors piercing Eric's cloaks across the Terai plains. From the war room beneath Tribhuvan Airport, she watched holographic maps update in real time, enemy landers blinking like malignant stars. Her tactical vest hugged her frame as she recalibrated laser arrays, syncing them with the drone's feeds. The sensors revealed cloaked infantry creeping through rice paddies, their plasma lances dimmed to avoid detection. Surya dispatched Gurkha units, their adaptive suits blending with the dawn mist, to intercept the advance with silenced railguns. The first shots cracked, felling invaders in sprays of sparks, but the enemy's numbers pressed harder, forcing her to redirect air defenses to cover the plains. Eric's escalated his assault, unleashing bioengineered swarms from his dreadnought. Fist-sized drones, their neurotoxin stingers glinting, flooded the Bagmati River basin, overrunning Tararathi's safe houses. The insectile machines buzzed through narrow alleys, their venom paralyzing resistance fighters in seconds. Tara countered with flamethrowers fueled by synthetic gels, her team sweeping through the basin in a blazing counterattack. Flames roared, incinerating swarms in bursts of acrid smoke. She coordinated with Amit Sharma via satellite uplink, her comm crackling as she relayed swarm patterns. Amit deployed a counter-virus code, its algorithms scrambling the drone's navigation, sending survivors spiraling into the river's muddy currents. Tara's fighters regrouped, their fatigue singed but resolve unbroken as they secured the basin's perimeter. Yalora materialized in holographic form before Surya, her luminous form projected from a guardian drone hovering in the war room. She proposed a joint strike on Eric's dreadnought, synchronizing guardian phase beams with Nepal's laser grid. Surya hesitated, her fingers pausing over the console, wary of the alien's motives. The hologram flickered, Yalora's voice calm but insistent, detailing Eric's trail of 12 ruined worlds, planets stripped of resources and left barren. Surya authorized the strike, her decision a calculated risk, and redirected satellite arrays to amplify the beam sync. The war room buzzed, technicians aligning targeting systems as the sky outside darkened with gathering clouds. Kellen led a boarding party through a micro wormhole, their guardian shuttle materializing in Eric's dreadnought's hangar bay. The alien warrior, his exosuit humming with energy, wielded an energy whip that crackled in zero-G corridors. His team clashed with Eric's guards, their plasma blades meeting in arcs of violet light. Kalen's whip lashed out, severing limbs in precise strikes, the severed ends sparking against bulkheads. The boarding party advanced, planting disruptor charges on critical systems, their timers ticking as alarms wailed through the ship. Kalen's HUD tracked enemy reinforcements, his movements fluid as he dodged return fire, the wormhole's residual shimmer fading behind him. Amit's EMP warheads detonated over Lumbini, their pulses rippling across the sacred plains. The blast crippled an invader battalion's shields, exposing them to Gurkha assaults. Commandos stormed the field, their kukris flashing in synchronized strikes, cutting through armor with surgical precision. Sparks flew, mingling with screams as the invaders fell, their lances useless against the onslaught. Amit monitored from his Chitwan outpost, his screens tracking the warhead's impact. He adjusted the next batch, calibrating for wider dispersal, and relayed coordinates to Surya's command. The success bought breathing room, but his sensors warned of new landers massing in the west. Saria piloted a commandeered hover tank through Pokhara's streets, its repulsors humming as she dodged plasma fire from Eric's drones. The tank's turret swiveled, unleashing kinetic rounds that shattered enemy positions in bursts of concrete and steel. She barked tactics over comms to Tara, who relayed real-time intel from the basin. Their exchanges, clipped and urgent, forged a reluctant trust as they coordinated strikes across the city. Saria's tank skidded through a market, scattering stalls, its armor scorched but intact. She pivoted toward a ley line hub, her HUD highlighting drone activity, her mind racing to outpace the enemy's next move. Eric's retreated to his bridge, his dreadnought shields overcharged to 110%, their hum vibrating the deck. He dispatched hunter-killer subs to the Indian Ocean, their stealth drives slicing through depths to sever Nepal's supply lines. The subs launched disruption probes, their signals jamming coastal relays, isolating Saria's forces. Eric's golden eyes scanned tactical feeds, his claws tightening on the controls as he recalibrated for a final push. The dreadnoughts' cannons charged, targeting Kathmandu's grid for a decisive strike. Tara's team breached Eric's forward base in the Annapurna foothills, navigating a maze of reinforced bunkers. She planted breaching charges on the fusion core, its hum resonating through the structure like a caged storm. Her scanner confirmed the core's instability. One spark could ignite a chain reaction. She signaled her team to withdraw, their boots pounding dirt as they evaded automated turrets. The charges detonated, a blinding flash tearing through the night, the explosion's shockwave rippling across the mountains. The base collapsed in a cascade of molten slag, lighting the sky like a false dawn, its glow visible from Kathmandu. Saria received Tara's report mid-battle, her hover tank weaving through Pokhara's outskirts. The core's destruction disrupted Eric's ground operations, forcing his landers to regroup. She redirected Gurkha units to exploit the chaos, their railguns hammering retreating squads. The war room's holograms updated, showing gaps in the enemy's formation. Saria seized the moment, ordering a counteroffensive to secure the ley lines, her voice steady over the comms, despite the tank's shuddering frame. Yalora's frigate maneuvered in orbit, its phase beams locking onto the dreadnought's coordinates. Kalen's boarding team withdrew, their charges detonating in secondary systems, crippling Eric's navigation arrays. The Guardian fleet tightened its formation, preparing for the joint strike. Saria's laser grid hummed online, its beams converging with Yalora's, a lattice of energy poised to pierce the dreadnought's hull. The air in the war room grew heavy, every technician holding their breath as the countdown began. Eric's subs surfaced, launching a final wave of probes to disrupt Nepal's coastal defenses. The war room scrambled to counter, redirecting drones to intercept. Tara's team regrouped, their rail rifles reloaded, ready to defend the ley line hubs. Ahmet fine-tuned his warheads, preparing for another volley, his outpost a fortress of humming tech. The sky trembled, clouds parting as the first beams fired. Saria braced in her tank, her HUD blazing with strike data. The war surged toward its tipping point, and Nepal's fate balanced on a razor's edge. The Himalayas shuddered under the fusion core's catastrophic overload, its shock waves rippling through the Annapurna foothills. Molten debris rained across the peaks, and Eric's remaining landers plummeted, their cloaks failing as they smashed into jagged outcrops. Nepal's skies burned with the afterglow, a testament to the defiance carved into the mountains. Saria Mandal coordinated a multi-front assault from the war room, her tactical vest stained with sweat as she directed Guardian-augmented drones through anti-air flak. The drones, synced with Yalora's microsensors, wove through the chaos, their targeting lasers locking onto Eric's extraction points scattered across the Terai plains. She relayed orders to Gurkha units, their adaptive suits blending with the dawn mist as they struck retreating invaders. Railguns roared, punching through armor in bursts of kinetic fury, while drones strafed drop zones, shredding makeshift barricades. Saria's holographic map pulsed with real-time updates, her fingers racing across controls to redirect reserves, each decision tightening the noose around Eric's fractured forces. Amit Sharma operated from a forward outpost in the shadow of Dhaulagiri, his mobile command unit humming with salvage tech. He hacked into the dreadnoughts' auxiliary systems, injecting a logic bomb that fried navigation arrays mid-jump. The virus spread, consoles sparking as Eric's ship lurched in orbit, its trajectory destabilized. Amit's screens flickered, tracking the chaos, his hands steady as he recalibrated the EMP warheads for a second volley. The outpost's air grew thick with ozone, generators straining under the load. He relayed success to Sarii, his signal cutting through static, urging her to press the advantage before Eric's could counter. Tara Rathi scaled a sheer cliff overlooking a hidden cave redoubt, her rail rifle slung across her back. Eric's elite guards fortified the position, their adaptive armor shimmering under moonlight. She aimed, her scope zeroing at 1,200 meters per second, each shot piercing their plating with surgical precision. Sparks erupted as guards fell, their plasma lances clattering uselessly. Tara's team followed, planting seismic charges to seal the caves, their timers ticking as they rappelled to safety. The explosions collapsed the entrances, trapping survivors in a tomb of rock and ice, the blasts echoing through the valleys like war drums. Yalora commanded her frigate in high orbit, her fleet forming a pincer with Kalen's interceptors. She unleashed tachyon torpedoes, their warheads warping space in explosive blooms that rocked Eric's scout ships. The Guardian's phase beams lanced through the void, synchronized with NEPAL'S laser grid, their combined fire carving gashes into the dreadnought's hull. Yalora's luminous eyes tracked the battle, her commands sharp as she adjusted vectors, exploiting gaps in Eric's defenses. Kalen's interceptors danced through debris, their railguns hammering stragglers. Each hit a calculated step toward dominance. Eric's, cornered on his bridge, activated a failsafe, a planetary yield device buried beneath Everest's icy slopes. Its activation signal pulsed through encrypted channels, a doomsday threat to force Nepal's surrender. Saria intercepted the transmission, her war room scrambling to trace its source. She initiated a high-stakes parlay via captured channels, her voice steady as she offered false surrender terms laced with tracker nanites. The nanites infiltrated the device's network, pinpointing its location in a subglacial chamber. Saria relayed the coordinates to Kalen, her holographic map zooming to the site, her mind racing to outmaneuver the ticking clock. Kalen infiltrated the yield chamber through vent shafts, his exosuit's cloaking field flickering as he evaded automated turrets. Laser cutters hummed, disarming tripwires with precision, their beams slicing through reinforced circuits. Sweat beaded beneath his visor, the chamber's air thick with the hum of the device's fusion core. He planted disruptor charges, their timers synced to Amit's remote override, and exfiltrated through a secondary shaft, turrets whirring uselessly behind him. The chamber's defenses faltered, its systems vulnerable to the impending strike. Amit triggered the override from his outpost, overloading the yield device's capacitors with a surge of redirected energy. The contained blast erupted, burying Eric's command post under 10 meters of glacial ice, the shock wave rattling the surrounding peaks. His screens confirmed the detonation, a clean strike that neutralized the threat without planetary fallout. He relayed the outcome to Saria, his voice cutting through the outpost's hum, urging her to redirect drones to mop up stragglers. Saria seized the moment, her war room erupting in coordinated action. She deployed additional Gurkha units to the collapsed redoubts, their railguns and kukris finishing scattered invaders in brutal, efficient strikes. The holographic map showed Eric's forces crumbling, their cohesion shattered by the core's destruction and the yield device's failure. Saria's orders flowed, redirecting air defenses to secure ley line hubs, her strategy a relentless hammer against a fracturing anvil. Yalora hailed Saria from her frigate, her holographic form praising Nepal's resilience. The war room paused, technicians glancing up as the alien's words echoed. But Saria's sensors caught something else. Guardian probes lingering over ley line nodes. Their scans too precise, too persistent. Doubt crept into her mind, a shadow beneath the victory. She ordered discreet sweeps, her voice low, directing techs to analyze the probe's subroutines without alerting Yalora. Tara regrouped her team in the Mustang Valley, their rail rifles cooling as they secured the wreckage of Eric's last landers. The air smelled of scorched metal and pine, the ground littered with alien debris. She scanned the horizon, her scanner pinging faint signals from Guardian drones, their presence too close to strategic sites. She relayed the anomaly to Amit, her calm crackling with urgency, her instincts sharpened by betrayal's scent. Amit's outpost buzzed, his screens tracking the probe's movements. He isolated their subroutines, uncovering encrypted commands to map Nepal's energy grid. His fingers flew, archiving the data for Terra's network, his mind racing to counter the new threat. The warheads stood ready, their casings gleaming under the outpost's lamps, a silent promise of further resistance. Kalen's interceptors withdrew, their hulls scarred but intact, rejoining Yalora's fleet in a defensive formation. The Guardians' phase beams powered down, their energy conserved for the next phase. Yalora adjusted her strategy, her bridge a hive of recalibration as she prepared for ground engagement, unaware of Saria's growing suspicion. Saria stood at the war room's heart, her holographic map a tapestry of hard-won gains. The ley lines held, their energy stable, but the Guardian probes cast a shadow over the victory. She issued orders to fortify the hubs, her voice a blade cutting through the room's tension. Nepal's defenders rallied, their resolve forged in fire, but the stars above whispered of new betrayals. The sky cleared, dawn's light bathing the peaks. The war surged onward, its pulse relentless. The Himalayan dawn carved sharp edges across the peaks, its light exposing a battlefield scarred by victory and veiled threats. Nepal's ley lines pulsed steadily, but the air carried a new tension, as if the stars themselves held their breath. Saria Mandel stood in the war room, her tactical vest now creased from relentless hours, as she ordered discreet sweeps of Yalora's aid convoys, landing in the Kathmandu Valley. The Guardian ships, sleek and silver, disgorged crates of reconstruction nanites, their microscopic engines glinting under sunlight. Her scanners hummed, probing for hidden trackers embedded in the shipments. Technicians worked in silence, their screens flagging anomalies, encrypted signals pulsing from the crates, too subtle for casual detection. Saria's jaw tightened, her suspicions hardening into certainty. She redirected Gurkha units to secure the landing zones, their railguns trained on the crates, ready to neutralize any threat. Amit Sharma analyzed the Guardian probe data from his Dhaulagiri outpost, his consoles alive with encrypted subroutines. The probes, hovering over ley line nodes, were mapping Nepal's energy grid for what their code labeled a universal relay. His fingers danced across controls, isolating the subroutine's intent, control, not aid. The discovery sent a chill through the humid air, his screens casting stark shadows as he relayed the findings to Tararathi's network. Ahmet fortified his outpost, arming additional EMP warheads to counter the probes, their casings stacked like sentinels under flickering lamps. His comm crackled with Tara's acknowledgement, her voice sharp with urgency. Tara ambushed a Guardian sapping team in the Sagarmatha sanctuary, her team moving like ghosts through snow-dusted pines. The sappers, cloaked in phase-shifting suits, drilled into ley line conduits, their tools humming with alien precision. Tara triggered seismic disruptors, their low-frequency pulses collapsing tunnels in a roar of ice and stone. Dust choked the air as her fighters swarmed, capturing Lysira's deputy, his exosuit sparking under their restraints. Neural probes extracted his confession, General Sivar's orders to tap Nepal's reserves under the guise of reconstruction. Tara relayed the intel to Surya, her rail rifle slung low, her team vanishing into the sanctuary's shadows to hunt the next target. Surya confronted Yalora in a fortified summit tent atop Nagarkot Hill, the valley sprawling below under a sky heavy with clouds. Holographic maps flickered between them, revealing Sivar's unauthorized fleet movements, guardian ships repositioning over leyline hubs. Surya's voice cut sharply, her accusations backed by Amit's data. Yalora's luminous form wavered, her composure fracturing as she denied knowledge of Sivar's plot. The argument escalated, phase cloaks flickering on guardian drones outside, exposing their repositioning. Surya slammed her fist on the table, demanding transparency, her trust in the guardians eroding with each revelation. She ordered her air defenses to track the fleet, lasers priming silently. Kalen defected mid-mission, sabotaging a Guardian shuttle in low orbit. He rerouted its navigation, forcing a crash landing near Amit's outpost, the wreckage skidding through rocky terrain in a spray of sparks. Data cores spilled from the hull, their encrypted drives revealing Sivar's plan to hijack Nepal's ley lines as a warp nexus for galactic conquest. Kalen, his exosuit scorched, transmitted the core's contents to Amit, his movement swift as he evaded Guardian patrols. The cores confirmed Sivar's betrayal, his ambition to use Nepal as a springboard, with Yalora as an unwitting pawn. Kalen fortified his position, his railgun trained on the horizon, ready for pursuit. Lysira activated contingency drones from a hidden command post, swarming Kathmandu with illusion projectors, mimicking peaceful aid convoys. The drones flooded markets with holographic facades, their false images calming civilians while masking troop movements. Tara pursued them through monsoon-slick bazaars, her team weaving past stalls and neon signs. She fired conductive gel rounds, grounding the drones in bursts of static, their illusions shattering like glass. Civilians scattered, their shouts drowned by rain as Tara's fighters secured the wreckage, extracting control chips that pointed to Lysira's position. She relayed coordinates to Surya, her boots pounding wet pavement, her resolve ablaze against the deception. Amit jury-rigged a spectrum analyzer from the captured cores, its circuits humming as he broadcast Sivar's commands galaxy-wide. The signal fractured Guardian loyalties, summoning rival enforcers from distant systems. His outpost vibrated with the transmission's power, screens flaring with confirmation pings from allied fleets. Amit fortified his defenses, EMP warheads armed, and drones prepped for launch. The broadcast's reach destabilized Sivar's control, his fleet's cohesion wavering as dissent spread through the ranks. Amit relayed the success to Surya, his voice steady despite the outpost's growing heat. Surya led a counter-raid on the hidden Nexus site in Mustang's canyons, her Gurkhas breaching with plasma rams that shattered reinforced bulkheads. Lysira's shock troops met them, their vibro blades clashing in a storm of sparks and force fields. Surya wielded a captured monomolecular whip, its edge slicing through armor with a high-pitched whine. The canyon echoed with gunfire, Gurkhas advancing in disciplined waves, their railguns punching through defenses. Surya's HUD tracked Lysira's position, her movements precise as she closed the distance. The whip's arcs a deadly dance in the confined space. Yalora, realizing Sivar's betrayal, turned on him aboard the Guardian frigate's bridge. Her energy staff crackled, meeting Sivar's power gauntlet in a clash that shattered consoles in arcs of plasma. Alarms wailed as hull breaches vented air, the bridge a chaos of flickering lights and sparking circuits. Yalora's strikes were relentless, her luminous eyes burning with fury as she countered Sivar's brute force. The duel raged, each blow destabilizing the frigate's systems, its orbit decaying as Nepal's laser grid locked onto its signature. Tara's team secured the canyon's perimeter, their seismic disruptors collapsing secondary tunnels to trap Lysira's forces. The air grew thick with dust, rail rifles humming as they mopped up stragglers. Amit's broadcast continued, its signal reaching deeper into the Guardian fleet, sowing chaos among Sivar's loyalists. Surya pressed the raid, her whip carving through the last defenses, her HUD pinging Lysira's retreat into the Nexus core. The sky above darkened, the frigate's silhouette visible as it descended, its engines faltering under Kalen's sabotage. Nepal's defenders converged, their movements synchronized across fronts. The ley lines hummed, their energy shielded by Amit's tech. But the Guardian probes lingered, their intent a shadow over the victory. Saria's war room buzzed, holograms tracking the frigate's descent, lasers primed for the final strike. Tara reloaded her rail rifle, and her team braced for the next wave. Kalen fortified his crash site, his sensors sweeping for pursuit. The war reached its zenith, the betrayal exposed, and Nepal stood unyielding, its pulse a defiant roar against the stars. The Himalayan peaks glowed under a sky torn by fire and shadow, the Guardian frigate's descent painting the heavens with streaks of molten debris. Nepal's valleys braced, their defenders locked in a crucible where every move could shatter the nation or forge its legend. General Sivar seized control of the Guardian frigate, his neural override implant locking Yalora in stasis, her form frozen mid-gesture on the bridge. He redirected the ship's main cannon toward Kathmandu, its barrel humming with enough energy to level the capital. His scaled gauntlet slammed controls, broadcasting demands for Nepal's surrender across all channels. The frigate dipped lower, its engines straining against Kalen's sabotage, its silhouette a dark omen over the Gandaki Gorge. Sivar's ambition burned, his plan to claim Nepal's ley lines as a warp nexus now within reach. Saria Mandal led her Gurkhas into Mustang's canyons, their plasma rams shattering the nexus site's bulkheads in explosions of sparks and twisted metal. Lysira's augmented marines met them, their vibro blades flashing in tight corridors. The Gurkhas advanced, railguns roaring, each shot punching through armor with kinetic precision. Saria wielded her monomolecular whip, its edge slicing through a marine's shield in a high-pitched scream. The canyon walls vibrated, dust cascading as her team pressed deeper, their HUDs tracking Lysira's retreat toward the Nexus core. Saria's breath steadied, her movements a calculated dance through the chaos, her focus unyielding despite the frigate's looming threat. Amit Sharma synchronized Nepal's laser grid from his Dhaulagiri outpost, integrating Kalen's defector codes to target the frigate's engines. His consoles flared, tracking the beam's alignment as it lanced upward, a spear of light that scorched the frigate's underbelly. The ship lurched, its emergency docking thrusters firing to stabilize over the gorge. Amit's EMP warheads stood ready, their casings gleaming under the outpost's lamps, primed for a follow-up strike. He relayed real-time data to Saria, his fingers racing across controls, the air thick with the hum of overtaxed generators. The laser strike bought time, but the cannon's charge grew, its threat a heartbeat in the void. Tara Rathi scaled the frigate's hull, her magnetic grapples anchoring her to its scarred surface. Rain lashed her fatigues, monsoon winds howling as she planted limpet mines on the thrusters. Turrets swiveled, their plasma bursts carving molten scars into the fuselage. But Tara dodged with practiced agility, her movements a blur against the storm. The mine's timers ticked, their charges synced to detonate in sequence. She slid down a maintenance ladder, evading a turret sweep, her rail rifle slung tight as she signaled her team below. The gorge echoed with the frigate's groans, its descent accelerating as Kalen's sabotage took hold. Yalora broke free from Stosis, her energy staff flaring as she rallied loyal guardians in the frigate's corridors. Pulse rifles cracked, mowing down Seaver's enforcers in staccato bursts, their bodies slumping against bulkheads. She led the charge, her strikes precise, carving through resistance with arcs of violet light. The corridor shook, hull breaches venting air in shrieking gusts. Yalora's team secured key junctions, their exosuits sparking under return fire, their resolve a bulwark against Sivar's betrayal. She pushed toward the bridge, her staff humming, each step closing the distance to her former commander. Lysira dueled Soraya in the Nexus core chamber, their monomolecular whips clashing in a whirlwind of feints and counters. The chamber's walls glowed with the core's energy, its hum a deafening pulse. Lysira's augmented reflexes matched Soraya's, her whip slicing air with lethal precision, but Soraya parried, her strikes fueled by defiance. Sparks flew, illuminating their faces in fleeting bursts. Soraya's HUD pinged, tracking Lysira's weakening stance, her whip finding gaps in the Marine's guard. The duel raged, each move a step toward the core's control panel, where Soraya aimed to disable the Nexus link. Kalen hacked the cannon's targeting AI from an access panel, his exosuit's tools slicing through encrypted relays. He rerouted power, overloading the frigate's shields in a cascade of sparking circuits. The cannon's charge faltered, its barrel dimming as Amit's laser grid hammered the exposed hull. Kalen's HUD flashed warnings, Seaver's enforcers closing on his position, but he held the panel, his railgun covering the corridor. The overload triggered, shields collapsing in a flare of energy, leaving the frigate vulnerable to NEPAL'S barrage. Sivar broadcast an ultimatum from the bridge, demanding the ley line keys, his voice a guttural roar across open channels. Soraya countered from the Nexus chamber, her false compliance laced with viral code that corrupted his command net. The code spread, consoles sparking as Sivar's controls locked, his gauntlet slamming uselessly against the panel. Soraya's whip struck true, forcing Lysira back, her team sealing the chamber's exits. The viral code crippled Sivar's fleet, ships drifting as their systems stuttered, Amit's broadcasts amplifying the chaos galaxy-wide. The limpet mines detonated, ripping through the frigate's thrusters in a firestorm that silhouetted Everest in a hellish glow. Debris rained, the ship's frame buckling as it crashed into the gorge, its hull splitting against unyielding rock. Tara slid to safety, her team securing the wreckage, rail rifles trained on emerging survivors. The explosion's shockwave rattled the canyons, a clarion call of defiance echoing through the peaks. Yalora cornered Sivar on the bridge, her energy staff clashing against his power gauntlet in a storm of plasma. Consoles shattered, sparks raining as hull breaches widened. Sivar's strength waned, his betrayal exposed, but he fought with desperate fury, his gauntlet grazing Yalora's exosuit. She countered, her staff striking his core, sending him reeling. The bridge buckled, alarms screaming as Nepal's defenders converged below. Gurkhas storming the wreckage, their railguns finishing Sivar's enforcers in relentless volleys. Soraya secured the Nexus core, her whip pinning Lysira against the control panel. The chamber's hum faded, the link severed. Amit's lasers ceased, their energy spent, while Tara's team cleared the gorge, their disruptors collapsing straggler positions. Kalen emerged from the wreckage, his exosuit scarred but functional, relaying final codes to Soraya. The sky burned, debris falling like dying stars. Nepal stood unbroken, its ley lines secure. But the Guardian's betrayal lingered, a shadow over the triumph. Soraya's gaze lifted, her resolve a blade forged in fire, ready for the final reckoning. The Himalayan dawn broke clear, its golden light washing over scarred valleys where the wreckage of war smoldered. Nepal stood defiant, its ley lines humming with reclaimed sovereignty, but the shadow of betrayal lingered like smoke on the wind. Saria Mandel oversaw the Nexus site's demolition in Mustang's canyons, her tactical vest now dusted with ash as she directed plasma torches. The devices burned with surgical precision, vitrifying the chamber's walls into glassy obsidian, sealing any lingering warp echoes. Gurkhas patrolled the perimeter, their railguns slung low, scanning for Guardian remnants. Saria's holographic pad updated in real time, confirming the site's neutralization, its energy signature nullified. She paused, the torch's hum fading, and surveyed the canyon's jagged scars, a testament to Nepal's unyielding stand. Her orders flowed, redirecting units to secure leyline hubs, ensuring no alien tech remained. Amit Sharma integrated salvage Guardian tech into Nepal's energy grid from his Dhaulagiri outpost, his consoles alive with recalibrated algorithms. He wove defensive protocols into the ley lines, establishing a sovereign energy shield that pulsed faintly across the valleys. The shield's hum stabilized, its frequency tuned to repel future incursions. Amit's hands moved swiftly, soldering the final connections, his screens confirming the grid's integrity. He relayed the success to Saria, his outpost's air cooling as generators powered down. The war's urgency giving way to cautious reconstruction. The salvage tech, once a threat, now fortified Nepal's resilience. A quiet victory etched in circuits and code. Tara Rathi disbanded her resistance cells in a hidden Kathmandu safe house, its walls scarred from recent battles. She transitioned her fighters into a national vigilance force, training them in hybrid Earth-alien tactics. Her team drilled under flickering lamps, mastering rail rifles and EMP grenades, their movements precise as they patrolled border zones. Tara's cropped hair glistened with sweat, her fatigues patched but clean, her resolve tempered into guardianship. She inspected a recruit's stance, correcting it with a nod, her scanner pinging clear of Guardian signals. The air smelled of oil and resolve, the city's pulse steadying as her force took root. Yalora met Saria under Nagarkot's starlit ridge, the valley sprawling below in a tapestry of rebuilding lights. The Guardian's luminous form stood alone, her frigate withdrawn to orbit, leaving sealed archives of cosmic threats as atonement. She admitted the Guardian's initial greed, her voice low, pledging non-interference. Saria listened, her posture rigid, her trust fractured but pragmatic. She accepted the archives, their data crystals glinting in her palm, but ordered continuous scans of the ley lines. The night air cooled, stars sharp above, and Yalora's form faded, her departure a silent promise laced with uncertainty. Kalen prepared to depart, his exosuit scarred from the frigate's wreckage. He handed Saria a crystal data shard encoding defensive algorithms, a token of alliance forged in betrayal's wake. His interceptor hummed nearby, its hull patched but ready, engines glowing faintly against the ridge's silhouette. Kalen's nod was brief, his eyes meeting Saria's, a mutual recognition of shared battles. He boarded the craft, lifting silently, vanishing into the night sky. The shard's data integrated into Amit's grid, strengthening Nepal's shield, a fragile bridge to the stars. Kathmandu bloomed with reconstruction, its streets alive with workers clearing debris under Durbar Square's ancient temples. Saria addressed the nation from the square's heart, her voice carrying over a crowd of thousands, their faces lit by hope and scars. Her sari, now ceremonial, caught the morning light, her words weaving pride into the air. We stood against the void, not as pawns but as protectors. Our ley lines are ours, our future forged in unity. We are Nepal, unyielding, a beacon for all who dare to stand. The crowd roared, their cheers echoing off stone gods, a nation reborn in defiance. Saria's gaze lifted, her heart steady, pride replacing the naivety of her first days in crisis. Amit's monitors confirmed the ley lines of stability, their pulses clean of anomalies. He stepped outside his outpost, the dawn air crisp, and watched the first peaceful aurora dance over the peaks. Natural hues of green and violet, untainted by alien hands. His glasses fogged slightly, the weight of survival settling into quiet satisfaction. The grid shield hummed, a testament to his relentless ingenuity, its energy a shield for generations. Tara stood vigil in a Patan temple, its inner sanctum lit by flickering oil lamps. She knelt briefly, her rail rifle propped nearby, her resolve transformed from fiery doubt to steadfast duty. The temple's silence wrapped her, whispers of distant stars fading into the chants of monks. She rose, her scanner clear, her role as guardian cemented in the nation's new dawn. Saria walked Kathmandu's streets, inspecting rebuilt markets and fortified hubs. The ley lines thrummed beneath, their energy a heartbeat of resilience. She paused at a ley line relay, its shield glowing faintly, and reflected on the journey. From a diplomat wielding power to a leader forged in fire, her pride rooted in humanity's defiance. The stars above held no answers, only questions. But she stood ready, her nation a beacon against the void. Nepal endured, its people united in the afterglow. The peaks stood sentinel, their silence a promise of vigilance. Saria gazed northward, her eyes tracing the horizon, prepared for whatever challenges dawned next.